twist.
Shout out to Lemons.
Welcome back, everyone. This is your boy J-Raj.
What up, peeps? Cody Cagle here.
This is Question Everything, where we question
Everything.
everything.
There's so much to question, Jay. There's just so much. There's too much to question, not enough time to question it. You know what I mean?
That is straight facts. You know, when I started questioning everything, it was about when I was about 10, 11, maybe 12 years old when I started
Oh, that's good. That was an early age. Nice.
The reason I started questioning everything was I saw that my parents were doing things, participating in groups and activities that they didn't really know why. I don't believe that they, along with many people who start families or have responsibilities from a really young age, I don't think a lot of these people have the opportunity. They're not afforded the opportunity of the time it might take to make progress in a lot of these areas that we've been so graciously blessed with.
Right, right.
You know, I started to question things like religion. You know, why did my parents practice this religion that they were brought up on? And I started to see things like respect played such a huge factor for that generation.
Yes, yes.
Now, don't get me wrong. Respect is amazing.
Well, you have to have respect, of course, yeah. But I see where you're coming from, and that's one thing we both realized we had a lot in common, is our parents were the type of generation where they didn't really question much. They just knew they had to do a job or had to be in a certain religion, whatever the case may be, and they did it and they provided it and they worked hard and they had respect. But we both talked about this, I think yesterday. We were like, well, really our transitioning point was when we started to question everything. Like, we started to question these things. Like, is this all there is? Is this the right religion? Is this the right practice? Is my dad working 9 to 6? Is that the only way to live? Right?
Right.
And honestly, you guys, this is where the name of the podcast came from, because we think it's so profound. Like, questioning your reality and questioning where you're at is everything. It's so important. Right, Jay?
100%. And I know for me, when I started to question everything, it first started with everything on the outside. It started with things like, do people have to have jobs for 40 and 50 years that they don't love?
Right.
Then it became, what about the extracurricular activities and the religions and all the other habits that go along with our lifestyles?
Right.
And then I took it a step further. Then I said, okay, so the things that we do with our time and money, which I believe that's how you really see where someone's priorities lie, is where do we spend our time and money, right? Time is irreplaceable, so
Completely.
to me that's the one way you can really tell the most about where someone's priorities lie.
Good point.
One thing we can't buy, no matter how hard we work.
Right. One thing we'll have in common, right?
So
we have an expiration date on this planet.
That's right. So it's like, how do you spend this irreplaceable time? But once I got through that thought process, then I think you and I share a parallel with a realization we had. We figured out, I'm so grateful, figured out that we can spend our whole lives trying to create this perfect life of appearances on the outside.
Right.
But when it really comes down to it, the key to happiness
Is within.
Oh my
And I mean, I hate to even throw this name out there, but I'll say this one name, and this will sum up that in 2 seconds. Anthony Bourdain.
Oh,
You know, you take somebody that on the outside looks like they have everything you'd want, right? And people respect him, and he took his own life. And if that doesn't sum up the reality of what you just stated, I don't know what else does. Because you're right, happiness comes from within and within only. And that external stuff, it may work for years. It may work for a long time. But eventually you're going to be so unhappy, and you're going to be so not unhappy. You're not going to be happy inside to a certain extent where you're going to do something extreme like that. And it's mind-blowing to see those things happen.
yeah. I mean, there does not seem to be any special sauce of ingredients that we can mix together on the outside to result in that internal happiness.
Right.
That real lasting joy. Because something we talked about in our first episode, everything that we can acquire on the outside participates in the law of diminishing returns.
Right.
The second we touch it, And every second thereafter, it becomes less valuable to us.
100%.
The more we get of something, take a new car, for example.
Right.
You drive it off the lot, and I'm not talking about the 40% that you
Right.
lose your value
Right.
as soon as you drive. I'm talking about the enjoyment that it brings. It might be the top of the world that first time,
Right.
maybe that first 20 times,
Mm-hmm.
but eventually, every purchase.
Dude, that reminds me when I got my BMW. Like, that was exactly what happened. You're like psyched up for the first couple of weeks, taking your friends out. Yo, you want to go out to the bar, hang out or something? You know, I'll pick you up. Oh, you'll pick me up. You roll up. Oh, dang, dude, you got this new ride. And then after like a month, you're like, damn, this is all it is?
Yeah.
Like, my car's just sitting in the garage. Now I got to still live life. This isn't.
Yeah.
So, yeah, to your point, Jay, I totally get that.
And that, to me, describes that situation perfectly. The more that I spun my wheels trying to create that life on the outside that I thought would present and produce a happy, joyous, fruitful life, the more it felt like owning the most beautiful vehicle I could
Well said.
and parking it in the garage.
Well said, man. In the garage of your heart.
Yeah.
Hallmark card.
Hallmark, shout out
Well,
Hallmark.
and that's a great point, Jay, and that's why, you know, in the first episode we wanted to really talk about where we came from, because in our opinion there's 3 pillars of how this goes. You really got to look and analyze where you came from, and then the next step we talked about, you have to question it. And then once you question it, what's the third step? This is what we're going to talk about today. It's about where we're going.
Where do you want to go?
Where do you want to go? And we both talked about this. Those 3 pillars are so important to analyze in your life. And to anybody and everybody out there, that's why we're setting this up this way, because you really should look at your life like that. Look at where you came from, where you started, because everyone starts somewhere, right?
That's right, episode 1.
And then once you analyze that, start questioning those things. Is this right? Is this wrong? Should I be doing this? Do I like this? Do I enjoy this? Not because your parents told you so, not because friends told you so. Question it because you want to for yourself.
And Cody, I couldn't agree more. I remember last week you talked a little bit about prioritizing the energy that gets to enter your home space.
Yes.
And I believe that your upbringing and your experience with your parents really contributed to how much value you place on that.
Oh, yes, 100%. Well, because, when I moved and got my own house, the first thing, I grew up in a very chaotic household, well, partly because my mom was a babysitter, she had daycare kids, so that's chaos. Not in a bad way, just kids, running around yelling. and then there would be the chaos sometimes of, my parents fighting and stuff like that. So it was just always chaos. So when I got my own house, I was like, this is going to be a Zen palace.
Yeah.
I am going to make this how I want it. No negative energy in here. I'm going to put everything on the walls that make me feel good. When I wake up, I'm going to see things that make me feel positive and make me move forward. And that was the reason why that was so important. It's like I knew inside that I needed to do that, and I think I was trying to get away from what I grew up with anyways. But going back to what we just talked about, you're never going to be able to sit there and analyze where you came from and question those things if you don't have an environment you can be peaceful in. You have to find a place to meditate. And we're going to talk about that a little bit when we go a little further into vision boards. But you have to, and for everybody out there, you cannot analyze and question habits in your life in the midst of chaos. You have to find a place to meditate. And even if that's in the bathroom while you're taking a shower, whatever, you need to have a place where there's no noise, no distraction, no phones, no kids, no wife. You need that time. And then that's really what I realized with the energy. Because when I had that free and clear energy and peace, then I really started to then be like, oh, this is my childhood, and question things, and then, oh, this is where I want to go. But it's so hard to get to that place if you don't create that ambience of peace around you.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, when I lived up by the mortgage call centers, and my daily lifestyle was wake up, get high, drive 4 minutes garage to garage, 3-4 minutes, whatever it was, and work those 12 or 14 miserable hours, I was not concerned at all about how zen my life was or how peaceful I was before I began my day. because that wasn't even on the radar.
Right.
My mind was constantly fixated on building this life of appearances that looked good, right? It wasn't until I slowed down, I prioritized feeling centered and my deep breathing as soon as I wake up and finding that centeredness to go out and actually be proud of the way that I conduct myself. When all of these thoughts and feelings and the thought of reinventing myself and the stance I come from, into the world, that's when I started to realize what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I started to question everything.
Mm.
So I completely agree with you.
That's funny. You know what's funny is that for both of us, it took years in the call center life, and we're like, this can't be it. We started questioning stuff. Like,
Man.
I'll tell you what, those sales environments will start to get you to question everything quicker than any other job out there.
I think maybe is that because with sales, it's so up and down sometimes.
Yeah, yeah.
The peaks and the valleys,
Oh yeah.
And
Your highs are so high and your lows are so low.
so low. And I feel like because of those highs and lows and not having that steady equilibrium,
Yeah.
that says two things to me. One is that wasn't my passion.
Right.
Because
yeah.
if it was my passion, no obstacle or day with lower numbers of sales would have ever had an impact on me.
Real talk, it wouldn't be work, right?
Right? But secondly, it tells me that if those ups and downs cause me to have second thoughts, if my self-confidence, I used to question how effective I was at that job. I would have a bad week of sales or
Right.
a bad day even, or a bad afternoon even.
Right.
And I would all of a sudden start questioning, man, am I even any good at this?
Oh, for real, dude. Especially in the mortgage industry, it's all about what have you done lately. And that's even to your point. You could have a great month, and then next month your manager's like, yeah, but why aren't you producing? Like immediately, day one, like, bro, I just killed it last month. Yeah, but that was last month. Today, you're not hitting your numbers. Like oh my, and that it's just like, I can't do this. I can't do this.
I literally just got the direct deposit this morning
Yeah.
for last month.
Let me enjoy my money for a day, motherfucker.
I just ordered steak and lobster for breakfast. It's almost here.
Yeah, don't ruin my morning.
Don't shit in my Cocoa Pebbles.
But I guess that's how a lot of people do live in this work environment. We live in a fast-paced world where everything's go, fast, produce as quickly as possible, right?
I think I'm going to propose a theory. As humans, we are purpose-driven creatures.
Agreed.
We constantly have to have something that we are focused on working towards. Now, since most of us, and myself up till when I started questioning everything a lot, and I'm sure yourself as well, before that was the main focal point, the only thing I knew to work towards were those monetary goals.
Right.
How can I continue to craft this perfect life for myself on the outside?
On the outside, right.
Because that's all I knew.
Right.
Now, my focal point is inside, and only once I get my inside each day to where I want it, do I move into the second half of my vision board for the day, which is those external progress checks.
And I don't know if you meant to do that, Jay, but you're a master, because what a great segue into this episode, because once again, this episode is titled,
Where Do You Want to Go?
And what we really want to talk about today is a very big aspect of that would be vision boards. So let's talk a little bit about just where you want to go and kind of how we've approached that, Jay.
So for me, the vision board plays a instrumental part of my everyday life. From the second I wake up till very late in the day, I'm working on my vision board. So let's go back to the start. When I created my vision board, all I knew was I was sick and tired of feeling like everyone else had control of my feelings. I was sick and tired of external circumstances making me feel, I should say, allowing myself to let these external circumstances dictate my level of happiness. That's all I knew.
Right.
I knew I didn't like my job,
Mm-hmm.
and I knew I didn't like feeling like everyone else had that control. So I took to a vision board, and the first inclination I had, I was saying, okay, what do I put on this board to help me get from feeling this way to feeling powerful and empowered and confident and self-assured and like I'm accomplishing what I want to accomplish with each day. So the first thing I could think of was, what do I want my life on the outside to be? So I made a list in the center of this vision board. And at first it was a poster board, and I wrote it in, just regular markers and Sharpies. Now it is a dry erase board.
Ooh, stepping it up.
Yeah, every day, so I can check off those tasks that I feel are compulsory for me to feel good about my day. But so I started with things like, I want to act all day, right? I want a vehicle that's reliable. I want my own roof over my head. I want money in the bank. Things like this.
Right.
Then I thought to myself, okay, this is what I want my outside life to look like. But these things are going to be the byproduct of feeling a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, why is each of these things important to me? Why do I want that in my life? So then I said, okay, I want to act all day because that's what I love doing. I've been working on this full time for 5-6 years now, and that's what I want to do all day.
So you literally broke this into like a step-by-step process.
Absolutely. Step 1, make your list of what you want your outside life to look like. And don't be all that specific, because one thing I learned through that process was I could say I want to act all day on a sitcom in LA.
Mm-hmm.
However, how do I know that I'm going to get the most happiness doing that in Los Angeles?
Mm.
Right?
I see what you mean.
How do I know that a Camaro is going to make me happier than a GMC Safari?
Right. So by keeping it less specific, you're actually helping yourself.
It opened my mind to the possibilities that maybe I can't even wrap my head around all the specifics of what makes me happy. So,
and plus, that might change too, right?
Exactly. Everything's subject to change. So,
is that where that saying comes? The devil's in the details. Is that where that comes from?
Ooh, maybe.
Like detail's good, but sometimes too much detail, isn't it?
I mean, you're probably right.
I don't know.
That makes sense to me.
Sidebar. Anyways.
That makes sense to me, because the simpler that I keep things, typically, the more content I can be with the results.
Well, and how much of that is like life, right? We're like, okay, I want to start working out Monday, but then you start getting too specific. Wait, I got to get new gym shorts. Oh, wait, I got to do this to get ready for the gym. Oh, wait, I got equipment. No, just go outside and start running.
Yes.
Stop being so specific. Just do it.
Yes. Yes. And there's a quote in Straight Line Leadership, a book that I feel so strongly about.
Great book.
It says, do the thing and you shall have the power. What does that mean to me? It means, just like you just said, we go out, we start working towards what we want, because the universe rewards decisive action.
Ooh, well said.
That's
well said, brother.
That's a
well
straight
said.
line leadership deal.
Well said.
I can't take credit for that, but it super resonates for me. So
yeah,
we go out, we take the action, and then, because we've done the work to figure out that this is, in fact, my next best action to get where I want,
right.
Because of that, no obstacle will deter us from our path. When we don't know that something is what we want, or that it is the next best action toward our goals, such as the mortgage job for me, call center, any obstacle or hardship that we face in the face of that can cause us to question our path. So instead, let's solidify the path, and whatever comes into the path, we
No,
crush that shit.
what a great point. And that's the reason for a vision board, right? Because without a vision, how do you know where you're going? And if you don't know where you're going, it's real easy to get lost. And you're just gonna, what do you, if you don't have a vision, what are you striving for? And then you start questioning, well, what's your why?
Yeah.
Because your why and your vision go hand in hand. And go back to your list. You were saying step 1 for vision board. What were your steps?
So step 1, I made a list in the center of my board with all the things that I wanted to see in my life externally without being super specific.
Okay.
Act full time. Feel empowered. Things like this, right?
Be healthy.
The job.
Healthy,
Yeah, have the nice body.
Right.
Then I drew a line off of each one.
Oh, okay.
And I said, why do I want that? How is that going to make me feel?
Very good point.
So then I figured these feelings are really where I have to stay. This is the ideal zone for me to live in each day at the beginning of the day so that I can attack creating this best life for myself and everyone around me in my close circle. So now I have a list of what I want on the outside. I have a list of why I want that. Right? So it's things like I want to feel empowered. I want a nice body because that'll make me feel fit and I'll have more energy and things like that.
And Jay, let me ask you this too. Why is the why so important?
Well, to me, that just goes back to solidifying the path. So the why, if we don't know why it is important to us to go out and achieve, be it a certain monetary goal we have, be it a certain career we're striving towards, be it a family or a personal relationship goal that we might have that we're working towards, if we don't have that clearly outlined and why that matters to us, what that's going to arm us with, then it's too easy to get distracted. It's too easy to let the obstacles get in the way.
Yep.
Because we only stay the course when the juice is worth the squeeze.
Exactly. You're not going to struggle, and you're not going to, the days it gets hard, right? The days that are challenging, because everyone's going to have a challenging day. Take Tony Robbins. He's had a million challenging days, even though he's amazingly successful, right? He's helped millions of people. If you don't know your why, those days it gets challenging, you're going to quit. You're not going to put the same effort in. That's what I've realized. You're not going to push through.
No. Let me ask you this. How, on your tough days when you were in the call center like I was, how did you deal with a hard day?
Well, at that time, and kind of like I mentioned in the first episode, that's when I was in total support mode. I was financially helping my mom and my sibling at the time, making sure that, helping with the food and the rent and things like that. So my why was actually outside of myself. But that goes back to a deeper problem that I'm dealing with now. But my why at that time was that I'm going to make this happen because I'm going to make sure my siblings and my mom are not going to be on the street no matter what.
And that, to me, is exactly where I wanted to go. Because when it's about more than just ourselves, that's when it's easier to push through the obstacles as well. When our why includes the greater benefit that we want to have for everyone around us, and the imprint that we want to leave on those around us and perhaps even the world, that's when we truly realize what it means to push through anything.
Great point.
Because it's like if you don't have another option, if you only have this one car and there's this piece of mechanic work that needs to get done and you can't afford to pay a mechanic, you figure it out.
you figure that shit out.
Because there's no option B. It's like
Right.
Will Smith says. Will Smith says, I don't have an option B because
Right.
it detracts from option A.
And there is truth to that, 100%, And, and so going back to what you were saying, so you start with the what, you go with the why. What's your next step on the vision board?
The next step for me was to take those emotions that now I know how I need to feel throughout the day. I know which feelings I need to be in. There are simple activities that help me to feel those ways. For example, I know that I must stay inspired and inspire others all day, every day. This is something that dramatically affects me. So because I know this, after my deep breathing, some quiet time, some stretching, a little bit of sun, I watch something inspiring. I listen to something inspiring. Be it a Tony Robbins video, be it a brain medicine, be it spirituality and yoga video, whatever it might be.
So basically generating a list of activities that are going to inspire you and help push you towards being in the right state to achieve your vision and what's on your vision board.
Yeah, and I'll go through real quick for you guys a basic list of how I start my day, and this will feed into those emotions. So
I've noticed you put these activities up on your wall too. Like when I'm at your house, I see you have your activities listed out, and that's a great idea that I want you to talk about too.
I certainly will. I'll talk about that because to me that's the biggest, that's the only way really to see the impact of this is to write it down. Because no matter how big your brain is, no matter how much weed you haven't smoked, and how many brain cells you might still have that I don't, it's okay. You can't remember it all.
Yeah, exactly.
You just can't.
No.
And I've made the mistake many times before of thinking I could. And what happens for me is when I don't have a written list, a clear list of things that I must do, I get stagnant. I do not choose to remain disciplined with those activities because I don't remember them all.
Yeah, and that's also a great way to hold yourself accountable in a sly way,
Yeah. So for me, the whole left side is the emotions, the activities to put me in the right emotions, and the right side is all my busy work that helps me make that progress.
So give us an example, just one example on both
Sure.
sides.
So first thing I do when I wake up is my deep breathing. Because to me, the only way that I feel successful and like I'm producing fruit is to be cool, calm, and collected. And to feel centered. To have a clear head, relieve that pressure from right when I wake up. Deep breathing gets me there, right? Then I slam a bunch of water with lemon because the second that lemon water hits my stomach, I start to feel my whole digestive system feel better. It feels like everything is starting to get into unison, so to speak.
Right.
So now I have...
Hydrates you.
Yeah, we're 70% water. Water is calming to us.
And you guys, lemon water is just so good for you. Just aside from hydration, it's a good source of vitamin C, supports weight loss, improves skin, helps your digestion, gives you even better breath, fresher breath.
Oh.
I mean, there's just so many benefits, you guys. So listen to Jay on this. Lemon water is the way to go.
Dang, I knew there was a reason I got that number last night. Just kidding.
There we go, lemon water. Shout out lemons. Shout out to lemons.
Citrus, since the scurvy.
By the way, we're sponsored by lemons.
We'll take any lemon you got and turn it into something amazing.
Lemonade.
Little sugar. So
you drink your lemon water.
I drink my lemon water.
Okay, what comes next?
Now I go outside. I look the sun right in the face and I say, good morning.
That's awesome.
Salutations to you because the sun energizes me from head to toe.
That vitamin D right there.
Dude, the impact getting some sun every day has on my spirit,
Yeah.
it is amazing. I cannot even put into words.
And do you think that's a direct connection with like nature? Like we need that nature. We can't. And do you think that's part of the problem with being in a call center? Is you're so you're in a box, like a small jail. And I hate to say it like that, but it kind of is. We need nature, don't we?
There's a lot of issues with the call center, but yes, I do believe that, and it all stems from this for me, beliefs, because we're talking beliefs here. Everything we're talking is about beliefs.
Right.
Belief systems. Name anything else on the planet that energizes every living organism.
Damn. Can't. Sun's boss.
The sun.
The sun is the dom.
And maybe water. And water.
Right. But even then, you need one. You can't have one without the other.
Right. And if you have ever gone into nature.
Like camping or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go on a walk through the woods. Go somewhere with a lot of trees and some wildlife. And tell me that you don't feel calmer.
Real talk, dude. Like, Hunter, you're right.
Who else makes you feel that calm from a young age?
I mean, you can't beat nature for one.
Your mother.
Well, yeah.
Maybe not everyone's.
But you're right, like that connection with
Yes.
a parent.
Exactly. The sun, nature, trees, birds, these are the kinds of, the water, calming.
Because they show us the essence of what we really are, minus, if you strip everything away from us, all we are is beings like these other beings on this planet. Yeah, we're more intelligent, obviously we have bigger brains, but guess what? We're all made up of the same atoms.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's like, I think you're right. When you step into nature, it's almost like a dose of reality. Like, oh, technically, when I die, I keep nothing. So really, all I am is the same thing these beings are. And maybe, guys, think about this. Maybe our place on this planet is not to hurt those animals in nature. Maybe the reason we have bigger brains is to actually help our other family, so to speak, being nature, right? But
Absolutely.
We're all connected.
Absolutely. And whenever I walk into nature, whenever I salute the sun every morning, listen to the birds, or hug a tree.
There we go. Tree hugging.
I said it.
You got a big tree in the backyard, too.
I hug that tree every day, bro. No lies.
Don't say it like that, Jay.
I hug that tree every day.
Yo, it's funny. There's a basketball player named Dwight Howard, and he has this, crazy house, but he says every day he hugs trees. That's something real to it,
Well, if nothing else, it makes it to where I don't even question if we're from the same energy or not.
Yeah.
You feel it.
Right.
When you're in nature and you're breathing deep and you're hydrated and you're appreciating that moment, you feel one.
Yeah, real talk, yeah.
With the universe, with nature, whatever. So every single morning, I make sure I get a bunch of water with lemon. I get a bunch of sun right in the face, deep breathing, meditating while I'm staring at it. And right after that, I want to get my body and my spirit in line. So I do one of a few things. I either do a yoga stretching video, or I remain outside and I finish my stretching routine in the sun.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
Either way, it's good. Outside's always better in my opinion. But I get that body feeling limber. Because in my experience, especially when the call center environment was around,
Yeah.
having cricks and creaks and needing to stretch it out and
Yeah, feeling tight doesn't
neck
feel
cracks.
good.
Yeah, feeling tight. I don't feel good going anywhere.
No, right.
Not driving, not working, not nothing.
Nope.
So I got to start my day off feeling limber. I got to start my day off with some energy. And I got to start my day off feeling like my mind's right.
Right.
So now, the mind.
Mind.
Right?
Okay, that's your next one.
That's my next one. So, of course, the deep breathing, the meditation, everything's mind, body, spirit.
See, and you're setting the table. You're gradually just, you're setting yourself up. I see it's like a step-by-step process. Very smart. Like one thing leads to the other, leads to the other.
Yeah.
It creates this compounding effect, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, anyways, continue.
No.
So next is your mind.
My mind. So I read and I journal. I read and I journal every single morning Preferably, I like to read the chapter with someone
Okay.
who's in my circle. One of the other items on my to-do list every day is talk to my circle. So I do kind of a 2-for-1.
Mm-hmm.
I call a friend, we read the chapter, and we talk about what it means to us.
Yeah, I love that. That's how we start our fire chats when we're meeting up.
Fire chat, fire chat. Exactly. And by journaling, I'll tell you what,
Yeah, tell me the importance of that to you.
I used to think it was such a funny thing.
Especially guys, you know the stereotype, oh, you journal? Those for girls. Nah, like, tell them. Like, I agree with you, but give me your perspective on journaling.
Well, I just have one question for anyone that thinks that, because I used to think that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you or do you not experience thoughts and emotions?
I do.
Because we question everything. So, because we have thoughts and emotions, we go through different levels, right? There's like Simsonic, the golden circle, if you've ever seen that. The what is in the middle. The how is right around it. And the why is the biggest, right? So, by allowing ourselves to progress through the levels of intelligent thought, putting our thoughts and feelings into written words, for me, that allows me to get more clarity
Yes.
than any other way. So I write out what I'm thinking regarding the chapter, regarding where I'm at in life, and then I get into whatever obstacles I might think I'm facing.
I love it. Love it.
And the clarity that is shown to me.
So journaling gives you a very high sense of clarity. Does it almost like allow you to like get shit off your chest, so to speak?
100%.
And I do want to jump in and say there's different ways to journal too. Like for me personally, this is just me. I enjoy doing an audio version. So I'll literally journal like in a recorder. And if you have a recorder that types into text, that's even better. So there's many ways to journal. Like, you know, find what best works for you. But I agree, the journaling is so important because we all need someone to talk to. And sometimes journaling is just talking to yourself and, you know, getting your thoughts out on paper and just organizing everything and reflecting. That's the biggest one for me. Journaling allows me to reflect and break down what I have and haven't accomplished on a daily basis, because sometimes a whole week will pass, right, in the blink of an eye. And if you're not constantly on top of what you have and haven't accomplished, because that's going to affect your goals, a whole week can go by and you'll be like, damn, I didn't do anything that I wanted to do towards my vision, right?
Going back to what we spoke about a few moments ago regarding purpose-driven creatures. I see this in the same light. If we treat ourselves like complex machines with many moving parts, and also the brain and heart to not be machines,
Right.
But if we allow ourselves to see ourselves like a machine and such that each part of the machine needs its grease, okay? Once I put my mind there, I understand that momentum accounts for a lot. We talk about manifesting, we talk about goals, we talk about being where we need to be, feeling-wise. But all that is meant to be brought into unison so that we can focus ourselves towards what we want to achieve. This isn't some exercise that, you know, we're going to go and hide in our journals and then we're not going to go attack the real world. No, this is so that we can feel empowered. And anything that we go out and do, we have the control.
Say that again.
Anything
Empowered.
that we do, we feel empowered.
100%.
We have the control. Right?
Sometimes you just gotta talk to yourself like that. Be like, I am great. Hey, so, you know what? We're gonna cuss on this podcast. I'm sorry. I'm a fucking leader.
Fucking right, Cody.
You know what I mean? Like sometimes you gotta look yourself in the mirror, and trust me, we've all been there. Where I've had that person where you just don't have self-confidence. Sometimes you just gotta say, "I am enough. I am good enough. I am great. I am lovable." Whatever you feel like. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you just gotta be like, "Oh,
yes,
get that." Oh, you know
every
what I mean?
day, every day. And we actually have an upcoming episode called "I Am's Self-Talk." So make sure you listen
I'm
into that.
excited for that one.
I'm super stoked. We got an amazing guest coming up for that one. But all of that, the I ams, the self-talk, the self-affirmations, that's on my vision board too.
And that's part of your morning routine, right? So, and I know your IMs are in there, but you said, okay, so let's go back. So you do nature. What do you do after you have your nature, your vitamin D? What do you do next?
I read and journal.
You read and journal, that's right. And then what comes after that?
I either lift weights, do fasted cardio, or both.
Okay.
Just depends on the day, depends which muscles are feeling which way.
But you're exercising.
Exercise.
You're doing something physical.
100%.
Right? Okay, got you.
And up till this time, the only thing I've had is my water with lemon.
So you've been fasting this whole time?
Correct. I like to fast at least 14 hours a day.
Which I think that's something we both agree upon. Everyone can have their own opinion, but we both agree fasting is actually very beneficial.
I've experienced a lot of benefits from it.
Yeah.
The most important to me is feeling empowered.
Interesting.
I don't feel like my body has power over me anymore.
Ah, okay. I got you.
Taking
control back.
Exactly. That was my main goal, right? The whole vision board, the whole reason for it was I want the control back. So that I don't have to feel like I need control.
Oh, wow.
It's all full circle.
It really is.
You know, and so I hit the body. And after my workouts, now I get my smoothie. I've got my greens in there. I've got some berries in there for a little sugar and antioxidants. I've got turmeric in there. I've got moringa in there. These are some amazing supplements. If you are not familiar, these are like life-giving supplements I'm talking about.
Definitely.
Super healing, especially turmeric and moringa. I've got my protein in there, some almond milk, you know. But mostly we're talking pure recovery, pure fuel,
Right.
going away from the sugars.
Good calories that are just going to fuel your mind and your body. 100%.
Exactly.
Yep.
So now I've got my mind fed. I've got my body fed. I've got my spirit fed.
Because all three are just as important, right?
Big time.
Just like I was telling you, or I was mentioning to you yesterday, it's like a car, right? If
Yeah.
one tire's flat but the other three aren't, is the car going to drive properly?
No.
So all four tires have to be well balanced in proportion, right?
Aligned.
Aligned. I guess that's why they say go change your alignment, right?
Alignment.
But it's that way with your mind, body, and spirit. You know, how many times have we or people we know neglected maybe one of those things, or they're very healthy, they're very gym oriented, but they don't also take care of their mind or their spirit. They're all just as important. They need balance.
Yes.
So your practice in the morning is literally to make sure you are feeding all three of those equally.
Absolutely.
Not one more than the other, equally.
Absolutely. And to tie it all together, we call this series the Look Good, Feel Good, Do Good series.
For that's the exact reason.
And that's why. Because I knock out the body.
Look good.
That helps me look good. I knock out the reading, the journaling, the inspiring messages, inspiring others.
The mind, feel good.
Yes, and all those emotions that I listed on my vision board for why I need this life.
Right.
Right? Now I feel good. And now that all three, mind, body, and spirit, are ready first thing in the morning, now I can go out and
do good.
boom.
I love it, man. I love it. And do you also, so you do IMs every morning?
I do.
Okay.
To go back to that for a minute, when I started doing IMs, it was fake. I didn't really feel those ways about myself. I didn't feel like I liked my body or loved my body. I couldn't even think about self-love. Like, why would I love this? Like, that was where I was.
Yeah, real talk, man.
Like, what do you mean? At that point, I'm smoking a pack of cigarettes a day. I'm drinking a couple drinks probably every night almost. I'm fat. I haven't worked out in like a year. At that point, mortgage call center days. I'm feeling like a caged animal working in a fucking cubicle.
Right.
Like, fuck that life, you know?
Real talk.
Real talk.
Just get you fired up thinking about it.
Fuck that shit. Yeah.
But on the real, like I always want to put this disclaimer out there. I'm not hating on anybody that loves the call center life. That's not what we're trying to. We're not trying to disparage anybody that like enjoys that.
No.
What we're trying to say is that lifestyle for us is how that made us feel.
Correct.
If that lifestyle for you makes you feel good, hell yeah, like these concepts still apply to you in that area. We're just saying that the call center life for us just made us feel horrible.
Yeah. To reiterate, this is not a message to bag on whatever makes you happy. For the people that the call center life or the 9-to-5 job or the whatever job or the whatever you do.
Yeah, because even firefighters are 9 to 5, and Lord knows we need them.
Oh my God.
You know what I'm saying?
Shout out to all the civil servants and people that help us sleep at night. Police officers,
Paramedics,
EMTs, the military. You know, I don't care what you agree with or don't agree with. This is not a political podcast, but anybody who gives up some of their own freedoms and sacrifices so that I can sleep better at night and feel safer, they automatically have my respect.
God bless them.
You know? And I just want to say one more thing on that, and that is, back on the IAMs, it wasn't until I stayed consistent with my daily list, that's when I began to really feel those IAMs kick in.
Okay.
That's when I started being able to wake up in the morning and genuinely feel excited. Like fired up excited, like I am now.
Right.
And this is real. Like, I wake up in the morning now and I go outside and sometimes I have to quiet myself down because I'm like literally so grateful.
That's awesome.
For this life. Like every day, this looks like my best life.
Yo.
It gets closer every day. I fine tune something. The universe puts someone in my path or works out a detail or whatever.
Right.
To where every day is closer to my ideal best life.
That's so dope, man.
How can I not be excited about that?
Right, exactly.
So now the IMs mean something. Now, when I wake up in the morning and I've got my journaling done and I've done my workouts and my water with lemons in and my smoothies in and I drink some chai because that helps my brain feel even better and I've got my jam, right?
Right.
My yoga or whatever. I'm feeling good. Okay, here we go.
And you know what all that does? It builds that belief in you. Because how important is it to, like, if anything, believe in yourself. I mean, it's one thing if nobody believes in you, but don't let that be you. Believe in yourself. And what I've noticed is with your exercises and your habits in the morning, you're strengthening that belief in yourself every morning. And if you believe in yourself with that much passion, how can you not be happy? Because then you know the world's at my fingertips. I can do whatever I want and live a peaceful, happy life because you believe it, that you can do that.
You know, I heard something recently that super resonates with what you just said. And that is that some people wake up every day and they see a world of possibilities. Other people wake up and they see all the worlds they can make possible.
Oh, that's deep. That's deep.
This is our oyster, bro.
Yeah.
Nobody gets to tell you how to live your life.
Right.
And if I can just impress one more thing onto the audience, it's that there is a way to live exactly the life that you want.
You're allowed to be happy.
You are allowed to make every single decision possible to create the life where you do only the things you want to do with all of your time.
And give yourself that permission.
Yes.
Jay, like, give yourself the permission to be happy. And that's something that really just triggered me right now because that I struggled with for so many years that I didn't deserve happiness. That's bullshit. Give yourself permission right now on this podcast to be happy because you have that right, just like everybody else on this planet.
Cody, I think this is as good of a time as any to go through some I ams.
And I want to say something too. You mentioned something very important. You said that when I started out my IMs, I was fake, right?
I was fake.
And I want to bring that back to the vision board. I made a note of that because what I want to, my 2 cents on the vision board, with everything that Jay said, I'm in 100% agreement with. And also to add on to that, your vision, make sure your vision board is quality. And what I mean by that is put things on your vision board that really make you happy. And sit there and really audit yourself. Really look at yourself and make sure you know the why those things are on your vision board. The reason I say this is because you guys all hear people say, yeah, do a vision board, this and that, yada, yada. And then people do a vision board and they don't really follow it, right? So there might be a lot of listeners that are like, the minute they hear vision board, yeah, I've heard that a million times. Well, this is how you separate that from a successful vision board. Make sure that it's quality by knowing your why. And put things on your vision board that make you happy. Not things that make other people happy. Not things that make you feel like people are going to like you more. Put things on there that make you happy. If buying 10 Teletubby dolls makes you happy, put it on the vision board.
Yes.
It may not make you the coolest in your friends, but if that's what makes you happy, put it on there. You know?
Tinky Winky.
That was just a random example, but hey, Teletubbies is in my brain space right now. Must be all the happiness. But listen, like, and Jay, you can probably attest to this too, right? Like, that is so important, right? You have to have a quality vision board, a real vision board. I've made vision boards in the past before where I put like Mercedes on their mansions. That's all once again stuff that if I really look at myself and sit quietly with myself, I'm like, is that really going to make me happy? Oh, no, it's not. Right. So that's all I'm saying. I just want to put that 2 cents in there because I feel like that's very important.
100%. And for me, it's a whiteboard and literally every day giving myself check marks next to everything when I complete that task. And for many of them, it's multiples, like talk to circle. Every single time I talk to someone in my circle and we trade inspiration, check mark. Read a chapter. If I read 2 chapters, 2 check marks, etc. And by amounting and building these what might seem like small wins throughout the day, by the end of every single day, even if there's 1 or 2 boxes, like work on next week's content. Maybe I didn't do too much in that category. That's okay, because there's another 18 things on that board that I did do at least one of, and now I feel fulfilled.
There we go.
So,
Yep.
If you're hung up on the word happy, if that makes you feel like we're trying to deter you from providing that amazing living you provide for everyone around you or whatever, push all that to the side, because all we want is for each person to feel happy and fulfilled and like we are all working towards a life that we don't want a vacation from, not need. A lot of people say, build a life you don't need a vacation from. I'm building a life I don't even want a vacation from.
Right.
Because it's not work anymore.
Right. Right.
And the more I let myself do that, the more the universe rewards my decisive actions, and the freer I feel, the more progress I make, and the more gifts in the form of people and concepts and inceptions of beautiful ideas.
Right, it just starts coming to you.
The creativity and all the juices that we want flowing begin to sprout like I could not even put into words.
And guys, there's no perfect time. Stop that. I've done that. Just get started. If so many times, I try to wait for the perfect time to, oh yeah, you know what? I'm going to start over on Monday. I'm going to work out and get my mind right. But I'll do it when the weekend's over. Or no, like even this podcast, right? There's so many things I could say, oh, well, I want to make sure that I'm perfect before I start this podcast because I don't want my listeners to think, no, I'm a human being.
Yes.
The perfect time is now.
Yes.
Stop waiting for the perfect time. Because by taking these actions like Jay and I are doing now to help anybody and everybody that wants to listen, it's actually bettering us as well. And we're not perfect. Nobody is. But get that out of your head. There's no perfect. The perfect time is now.
Yes.
Get started now.
When I have kept myself from taking actions because I felt like I needed something else it made me project a version of myself that was not all that authentic. And I believe that whatever we project is what we attract.
100%.
So I wasn't even attracting the help I needed. I was projecting this person who didn't have these areas of opportunity within that I really did have. And therefore, I wasn't getting the help I needed to get where I needed to go. Whereas when we take the action and we just present ourselves as we are, where we are, but stay committed to that success and growth on all levels on a daily basis, that's when people see where we are. They know what we need.
What a great blueprint. Jay's blueprint right there, dude. We need a cowbell. I'm just going to start ringing that thing when you start dropping knowledge like that, bro.
Fire chat. I can't even take credit for it, and I don't want the credit for it.
But you know what? It's not even about credit, because everything has been passed down for thousands of years. Even our biggest mentors, Tony Robbins and Gary Vee, or whoever you're following right now, you think they're the first ones to ever come up with this content?
No.
These ideas? You know why? Because all this is actually already within us.
Yes.
A lot of people don't realize we have an untapped wealth of knowledge inside of us through our spirit, and everything that we're learning from our mentors, they're just reiterating what we already know. This is just overused material that we need.
It's all from the same energy.
Yes.
And with that,
yes.
grab a pen, grab a paper, just write down whatever thoughts and feelings come to mind about where you are at and how you feel about it. And then let yourself close your eyes. Think about that for a little bit. The thoughts will come if you let them, and then you'll know where you want to go.
And Jay, let me just leave you guys with something before we take off here. And this is really profound to me, so I want to share it with you guys. You are really only living breath to breath. That's life, guys. Till next time, this is Cody.
And J. Raj.
Have a great day.
Question